Thank you so much to the developers Goodnight Brave Warrior for providing us with this review copy. The story starts strongly with the counsellor, who looks a lot like one of the characters from the Day of the Tentacle games, introduced as your assistant. You play as the main character, Princess Ming, as her kingdom comes under attack from an unknown force. Now, the method of attack seems to be some strange earthquakes which are tearing apart the kingdom. And I enjoyed the feisty character, Princess Ming, as she decides that the best option here is to jump down the nearest chasm. So that's exactly what she does. If you've ever played a game called Broken Age, which was released by Tim Schafer and the guy that created the Monkey Island series, then the dialogue and the way that it's presented is really similar to those games. I actually really enjoyed it. It made it feel a lot more like a point-and-click adventure at points. Soon, Sling Ming is blasting off in a spaceship to discover 3 lost keys to unlock a gate which supposedly will reveal all the mysteries of what's been going on. It was really cool, and I enjoyed the fact that you get to visit many other planets. The game starts on such a high. The characters are likeable and their chemistry make the more frustrating puzzle sections more bearable. I really enjoyed the story overall, and for that reason I give it 14 out of 20. Your main character, the titular Sling Ming, can swing from nodules on a system called the Oxylane, which is introduced early in the story. This allows her to travel from point to point while tethered and swinging freely. Gold tokens are strewn throughout the level, and you aren't really told to collect them, but as we will see later on, they become pretty essential. The same goes for the blue items. These look a little like nuclear helix, floating blue spheres that offer a massive challenge to collect. While you are told that these are important, the importance of them was not explained enough for my liking. This game was described to me as a relaxing puzzle platformer, and initially, this is exactly how it felt. The first few levels were a leisurely jaunt through some genuinely lovely landscapes. Quite easy, but just the right amount of challenge to feel satisfying. At about the 4th or 5th level, something strange happened. The game, almost without warning, became very difficult. As a Dark Souls veteran of all 3 games coming to the Switch, praise the sun, I'm used to difficult games. This, however, due to the physics-based nature of the swinging character, was often ridiculously difficult. There are things which could have been done to negate this difficulty. They could have allowed you to cancel a swing and go back from where you came from. Not here. You swing and you are on a collision course with 5 courses of death, you die. Set up the perfect series of swings by moving the points just to the right places, and you would expect the path of the swing to remain consistent each time. No, not here. One swing may totally differ from the next, causing some seriously frustrating deaths. When the difficulty was on point, the levels felt rewarding and genuinely enjoyable. Back to those gold coins. Within the first 10 stages, I hit a level that was just so difficult I genuinely could not get past it. It didn't feel hard, it felt impossible. I press the start button, and there on the right I see these words: use 25 gold tokens to skip the stage. The developers obviously realised that some stages were unreasonably difficult. Either that or I'm just rubbish, but I'm pretty sure I'm a decent enough gamer. Is allowing players to buy their way out of difficult levels okay? Well, for me, I'm not sure. If that sits well with you, then fine. For me, it shows that perhaps the game requires a little more difficulty tweaking. Either way, it did allow me to progress, and that, I suppose, was a godsend. That brings me back to those blue items. They're called items. I think it's a play on the word item. Having skipped a level and arriving at the final stage of the first planet, I busted a gut to complete the game and collect as many of those coins as I could. When I got to the end of the stage, I was greeted with a machine. Fantastic, I thought. This machine is my ticket off this cruel and brutally spiky world. Wrong. This machine requires 3 tokens, of which I only had 1. I was then told to go back to the levels I'd already completed and get more of these blue tokens, which, as I mentioned, are bloody hard to find. This upset me. I took a break from the game. Gameplay can be very fun, but equally frustrating. It gets for me 13 out of 20. It wouldn't have taken much tweaking to make it a fantastic game, but as it is, the mechanics are just too hit and miss to make skill the main requirement, which it definitely should be. The game sounds lovely. kudos to the developer for matching a perfectly balanced soundtrack. The soundtrack really reminded me of Snake Pass, which, love it or hate it, had a brilliant soundtrack. It is very reminiscent of classic platform games like Donkey Kong or Spyro. The sound effects are also sensible and the HD rumble was excellently implemented. If there was a negative here, it would be that, and I've said it about a few games now on Switch, the music sometimes goes on a bit of a walkabout. The game goes silent and you're left with half the atmosphere for a while. I'm not entirely sure why this is the case, as the music and sound was one of the best elements here. Sound and music overall still gets an impressive 15 out of 20. They're one of the strongest elements of this game, and when the levels are nicely balanced and the music is playing, I could happily spend hours in this world. The graphics are pretty lovely. They're very reminiscent of Broken Age, and its influence is clear. Here the influence is mostly used in the best possible way. I for one am getting pretty bored of pixel art, and this hand-drawn style a la Pankapu works brilliantly and allows the developers to really stamp their aesthetic vision on it. There are times when the background art falls slightly short, which was a little confusing. The game starts so strong in this regard, when you hit the second planet and some of the visuals just aren't up to par, it stands out. The main character looks great and I loved her style, as well as her trusty sidekick who looks amazing in his Day of the Tentacle fancy dress. Graphics for me get 14 out of 20. With a variety of planets to visit, the graphics and style match very well with the gameplay. There are some inconsistencies, but overall it does look great. There is a lot of game here. Value is a tough one to judge as I haven't completed the game due to the brutal difficulty. From what I can see, there are a decent enough number of levels and planets to work through. Each planet has a very unique aesthetic which may keep you coming back time and time again. However, I would strongly recommend you make every effort to collect the items from the get-go. Without these, the frustrating mechanic of having to return to finish levels may hinder your desire to progress, rather than the actual difficulty of the game. Value here gets 13 out of 20. When a game forces you to return to completed levels to progress, for me that is just a little bit of a cheap trick to extend the life of the game. I would much rather a shorter, less frustrating experience overall. So that brings us on to the final verdict. As you can tell, the final verdict is going to be heavily affected by the difficulty of the game. If you're a fan of brutally, and I mean brutally difficult puzzle platformers, then there's more than enough here for you. If you frustrate easily, or even if you don't frustrate easily, this one will test you. Don't get me wrong, the story, art and music are great, but the core gameplay relied too heavily on luck, rather than pure skill. I still had a good time with the game, and it gets a final switch up score of 69%. And as we come to the end of another video, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. If it's helped you in any way, then please hit the like button down below. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. Look, if you enjoyed the channel, then think about it. If not, then there are plenty of other good channels. I will see you guys all on the next one. Switch up.